Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamumata. And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Purport. The word bhajate is significant here. Bhajate has its root in the verb bhaj, which is used when there is need of service. The English word worship cannot be used in the same sense as bhaj. Worship means to adore or to show respect and honor to the worthy one. But service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can avoid worshipping a respectable man or a demigod and may be called discourteous, but one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned. So, bhajanti, bhaj means not just glorify him, but to serve. This is the difference between an Ashtanga yogi and a Bhakti yogi. Ashtanga yogi is glorifying him, honoring him, Paramatma. He's just, seeing him, and he's full of awe and respect for him. But Bhakti yogi is practically serving him with his senses, with his mind, doing things for Krishna. So that is, so unless we serve Krishna, we are thoroughly condemned. Every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus every living entity is intended to serve the Supreme Lord by his own constitution. Failing to do this, he falls down. The Bhagavatam 11.5.3 confirms this as follows. Ya Esham Purusham Sakshad Atma Prabhavam Ishwaram Na Bhajanti Avajananti Sthanad Brashtaha Patanti Adaha. Anyone who does not render service and neglects his duty unto the primeval Lord, who is the source of all living entities, will certainly fall down from his constitutional position. In this verse also, the word bhajanti is used. Therefore, bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, whereas the word worship can be applied to demigods or to any other common living entity. The word avajananti used in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is also found in the Bhagavad Gita. Avajananti ma muda. Only the fools and rascals deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Such fools take it upon themselves to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita without an attitude of service to the Lord. Consequently, they cannot properly distinguish between the word bhajanti and the word worship. So why is service only applied to Krishna? Because service means just serving without having any expectation in return. That is service. We may be serving so many human beings and devatas, but it's always with some intention of some return. It is not done selflessly. Completely selflessly is only possible for Krishna, because that is our original relationship with Krishna. And that is why during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, the Nawab Hussain Shah, when he was very curious, he asked Rupa Goswami, who is this Lord Chaitanya? Not Lord. He said, who is this Chaitanya? And Rupa Goswami didn't want him to know much. So he said, no, he is just an ordinary fakir, just going around, no need to have much this thing about him. He's not very important. He said, no, he is not. He is normally, if even I, as a king, I don't pay money to anybody, even my wife may not stay with me. But for him, he is not giving anything to anybody, but they are all running after him. That means he has to be God. He's Kuda. No, he must be God. He must be. So he must be God. So only for the service is meant only for Krishna without any expectations. And when we serve the pure devotee, the Guru, and so on, it is because he is a representative of Krishna. And even to Vaishnavas, when we render service, it is because they have Krishna, they are connected with Krishna. That is why. But actually, the original service is for the soul and only rendering service to Krishna. And anyone who does not render service and neglects his duty unto the primeval Lord, who is the source of all living entities, will certainly fall down from his constitutional position. And this was also the word bhajanti is used. Therefore, bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, whereas the word worship can be applied to demigods or to any other common living entity. The word avajananti used in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is also found in the Bhagavad Gita. Avajananti ma muda. Only the fools and rascals deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead Lord Krishna. Such fools take it upon themselves to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita without an attitude of service to the Lord. Consequently, they cannot properly distinguish between the word bhajanti and the word worship. The culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in bhakti yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to the point of bhakti in bhakti yoga. Yoga actually means bhakti yoga. All other yogas are progressions towards the destination of bhakti yoga, because the destination is to be connected with Krishna, and with Krishna we have a relationship of service and devotion. So that is why bhakti yoga is the topmost. From the beginning of karma yoga, because in karma yoga we identify with our body, we are engaged in doing materialistic work, but then we are also trying to connect to Krishna. So that is the first step in that ladder. To the end of bhakti yoga is a long way to self-realization. Karma yoga without fruitive results is the beginning of this path. When karma yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, the stage is called jnana yoga. When jnana yoga increases in meditation on the super soul by different physical processes and the mind is on him, it's called ashtanga yoga. And when one surpasses ashtanga yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, it's called bhakti yoga, the culmination. Actually, bhakti yoga is the ultimate goal. But to analyze bhakti yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. The yogi who is progressive is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by that particular name. Karma yogi, jnana yogi, or dhyana yogi, raja yogi, hatha yogi, etc. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of bhakti yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all other yoga. Therefore, to become Krishna conscious is the highest stage of yoga. Just as when we speak of Himalayan, we refer to the world's highest mountains, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination. It is by great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of Bhakti Yoga to become well situated according to the Vedic direction. The ideal yogi concentrates his attention on Krishna, who's called Shyama Sundara, who's as beautifully colored as a cloud, whose lotus-like face is effulgent as the sun, whose dress is brilliant and with jewels, and whose body is flower garlanded, illuminating all sides is his gorgeous luster, which is called the Brahma Jyoti. He incarnates in different forms such as Rama, Narsimha, Varaha, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and descends like a human being as the son of Mother Yashoda, and he is known as Krishna, Govinda, and Vasudeva. He is the perfect child, husband, friend, and master, and he is full with all opulences and transcendental qualities. If one remains fully conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called the highest yogi. So that is why Krishna comes to show what he is, because even we may hear from the Shastras and all that, but unless we see him, we cannot meditate upon him. And he comes in a human form to interact so that we can identify ourselves with him and become so attracted by everything. Because when Krishna is so beautiful, if anybody sees Krishna, then they become so attracted. They just keep watching him. They don't want to see anything else. Everything else seems so insignificant compared to his beauty. And when Krishna spoke, they were so beautiful that they didn't want to hear anything else after that. So that is how Krishna attracts our consciousness. And then he left all these pastimes for us to meditate upon and discuss, which is still going on. And those who have, like for us, we have come after so many years after Krishna's appearance, but we can get the same benefit as those who got when Krishna was present. So that's the amazing thing, that we are chanting Krishna's names and we are glorifying him. We're trying to think about him. We are trying to render service to him. And we're also progressing as if when Krishna was personally present. We should be fully confident that we can make full progress in Krishna consciousness, even though we're not able to directly see him now. We are seeing the deities. That also is so attractive, isn't it? We are amazing, those deities. They are nothing compared to the actual painting of Krishna, how beautiful he is. And yet, because Krishna is present in the deity form, he's attracting us to his form. And even just by meditating on the deity, we are living with Krishna. And then gradually, everything else will seem insignificant compared to our relationship with Krishna. And for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only through service we can connect with him. Paramatma, just by controlling mind and senses, we can see him. But we cannot relate with him in a loving way. That is possible only when we think about his pastimes, him as a person with different relationships with us, and all that which is revealed to us due to rendering service to him. So service is the key thing in bhakti. Service and devotion, service with devotion. Then we can understand everything about Krishna. And so he comes also, ideal yogi concentrates his attention on Krishna, who's called Shamasundara. And he incarnates in different forms such as Rama, Narsimha, Varaha, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he descends like a human being as the son of Mother Yashoda. And he is known as Krishna, Govinda, and Vasudeva. He is the perfect child, husband, friend, and master. And he's full with all opulences and transcendental qualities. If one remains fully conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called the highest yogi. And everyone can become a highest yogi by just reading all the scriptures. That's why Srimad Bhagavatam has arisen. In the first canto we saw, in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the sages of Naimisaranya, they are very inquisitive. What will happen to the people of Kali Yuga now that Krishna has left this earth and gone? And then Suta Goswami said that the Bhagavatam has arisen like the sun to dispel the darkness of ignorance of Kali Yuga, because it's full of pastimes of the Lord. And just by hearing about the pastimes of Krishna, the soul becomes attracted to him. And then all the attraction to all these material things will go away automatically. And this is so natural. And we saw how, a few years back, when Ramayana and Mahabharata were shown, those times, color TV had just started, I think in the 1980s or 1990 maybe, beginning. No, end of 80s and beginning. So that time, the serial Ramayana and Mahabharata was aired, first Ramayana and then later Mahabharata, on every Sunday morning and in Doordarshan. And the whole country was glued to watching it. There was no traffic on the road. People would, those who didn't have color TVs, they would go to their neighbors. Everybody's house was free, open. You don't have a color TV, come and watch in our house. Because to see Rama, I mean, all the colorful thing of Ramayana and all that, it's so colorful, isn't it? So people wanted to see that. And the whole country was waiting from week to week, the episodes were going on. And how much it attracted the minds of people. So we are naturally attracted to Krishna. And we just need these pastimes to completely, and in our house for our children, because there were a lot of cartoons and other things available, but we just used to get this. We got all these weekly, episodes of the Mahabharata and Ramayana, and we collected them. And the children our sons started seeing, and they were so much hooked to it. They just enjoyed it. Repeatedly, they would be watching the entire all these episodes, and they knew all the um dialogues by heart, and they would be enacting between themselves. And then we got them gadas and whatever, because they were available then due to these episodes. Completely mesmerizing. It attracts the mind. And even though there were other things available on TV, they never watched all those. They were so fully only engrossed in Ramayana and Mahabharata. That was a fantastic move. And now, similar kind of thing is happening now because of this Ayodhya. Ram is being installed, and whole country is talking about Ram, Ram. Oh, we're waiting for that day, 22nd, Ram, Lalla, and we want to go to Ayodhya, and so on. So you can see naturally there is a love between the soul and Krishna. And if one remains fully conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called the highest yogi. So right now, maybe sometimes we'll talk about Krishna, and then other times we want to think of other things. But as we keep on progressing, we will all the time we'll never forget Krishna. Whatever else we are doing, it always will be in connection with Krishna. Very naturally. That is highest perfection. The stage of highest perfection in yoga can be attained only by Bhakti Yoga, as is confirmed in all Vedic literature. Yasya Devi para bhaktir yata Devi tata gurau tasya ite kadita hi artaha prakashante mahatmana. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. So the Guru is also very important. Guru is representative of Krishna. That is why, not separately by himself, but because he has Krishna with him. That's why he's the external representative of Krishna who's inside our heart. We're not able to connect with Krishna. So he sends the Guru, bona fide Guru, Vaishnava Guru, is sent by Krishna. It's not ordinary. Somebody just says, okay, I'll be Guru. It's not like that. He has to be appointed by his Guru. Who is appointed by his Guru? So it's coming in disciplic succession. And whatever, so Prabhupada said, I'm like a mailbox. Whatever you want to give it to Krishna, you give it to me and I'll pass it on to him. And whatever Krishna wants to tell you, I will tell you. So he's like a via media, transparent via media. He won't add or subtract anything of his own. So that is the advantage of a bona fide spiritual master who can help us to connect us to Krishna. And it's very difficult to serve Krishna. We don't know what he wants, and we are not so pure to serve him, but we can serve his pure devotee. The Guru is easy to serve, and Krishna is more happy. He says, one who calls himself my direct servant is not my servant, actual servant. One who is the servant of my servant, he is my actual servant. So in this way, when we humble ourselves before the Guru and render service to him, because he's the representative of Krishna, then it reaches Krishna directly and we make good progress. That is bhakti, pure bhakti. Bhakti rasya bhajanam tad iham utrupadi nairasyena musmin manah kalpanam etad eva naiskarmyam. Bhakti means devotional service to the Lord, which is free from desire for material profit, either in this life or in the next. Devoid of such inclination, one should fully absorb the mind in the Supreme. That is the purpose of Naishkarmya, Gopalata Upanishad 1.15. These are some of the means for performance of bhakti or Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of the yoga system. So bhakti means, because imagine meditating upon the most beautiful person in all ways, spiritually, just attractive to the eyes and attractive to the heart. He is purification personified. And such a person, if you're worshipping, will your life be lacking in all beautiful things? Everything around you will be beautiful. So one doesn't have to worry about all that. How will I live? How will I do this? That is just, unnecessary. You're a pure devotee, because the only thing that we need to do is to worship Krishna. And then Krishna takes it upon himself to take care of his devotee. So just like a child does not care, he's not at all worried about whether next meal I will get, when I'm hungry, what will happen, will I be educated, will I have clothes to wear? He doesn't worry about anything. He's just happily playing because he knows my parents are there and he's very happy in their love. So that is our relationship, that we are focusing in our loving sentiments to Krishna, and everything else is Krishna's anyway, and everything else will manifest in a most beautiful way, and we get full freedom from every from material bondage, first of all, because in material thinking thoughts, when we think I'm the body, then there are so many limitations to the body, and naturally we become very fearful and full of anxiety about maintaining the body, first of all, about all the competition in this world and survival. And more than that, we also have tendencies to want to dominate, to have positions and power and fame, and all these things are also worrying our minds all the time. But when we become free from that by becoming engaged in the service of Krishna, that is bliss. So all these other yogas are finally bringing us to this bhakti yoga by which we realize God. So till now, Krishna has only spoken of in the first 6 chapters. We saw Karma Yoga, and we saw Jnana Yoga, and we saw Dhyana Yoga. Now, the middle 6 chapters are to do with Bhakti Yoga. And Krishna starts from the 7th chapter. He tells us how to see him, for a beginner, how to see Krishna in the material world. Because we want to see Krishna, we want to develop faith in him. So how do we do that? So Krishna very kindly, he tells us what are some of the very wonderful things in the material world. That is a manifestation of me. See me in that. And when we become aware, oh, this is Krishna. When we think like that, then we advance in our Krishna consciousness. So like that, up to the 11th chapter, he describes how to see him in the material world, what are all his opulences. And then in the 11th chapter, he shows his Vishwarupa and shows how everything is manifested within him. This is so that, to attract us. from seeing material things separate from Krishna. And so then after showing the Vishwarupa and all that, then in the 12th chapter, he talks about what is exactly Bhakti Yoga, how we have to surrender. And he says how if you're not able to do that, then do the next possible thing. If not this, then do this, like this. He tells us, and he also gives the qualities of a pure devotee. So this middle 6 chapters are kept in the middle because they're the most precious, because it contains Bhakti Yoga. So the first 6 chapters are like Karma Yoga, because even though it is dhyana and all that, it is still having some material desires, in them. So it's fruitive. So it's called Karma Yoga. And the middle 6 are Bhakti Yoga. The last 6 chapters are to do more dhyana about this material world, the modes of material nature, and all these things, Varnashrama system. I mean, how to understand the material nature so that we can also purify ourselves materially. On the one hand, we are trying to raise the consciousness to the spiritual platform. And on the other side, if we have knowledge about this material world, we can also purify through that. Materially also we keep purifying. So that's very congenial for us to do devotional service. So we'll just see the 7th chapter, first verse, knowledge of the absolute. It's quite long. Okay, are there any questions?
Hare Krishna,